This is Mile High.
Do I want to tell the story or do I want to show the message?
You've got a lot of work to do between Mile High.
The time has come where we can know
we have a responsibility, an ethical and moral responsibility.
We have to do it better in order to move people along.
Up, down, inside out.
If you get your mind right, it is not. It is a receiver of thought. Because love is my first technique.
it's now time for the show.
Welcome to the Mile High Podcast. This is your host, Dr. Daniel Knowles. Thank you for joining us. I'm at mile high altitude, 5,280 feet. Our guest is at sea level. Phenomenal doctor, Dr. Brian Moriarty. Before we get it rolling, I'm going to say, whatever platform you are watching, listening, whether it be YouTube or iTunes, whatever it is, hit subscribe, because you never want to miss any Mile High tick. So just hit subscribe if it's Spotify, whatever it might be. And then also make sure you go to your calendar and dial in to be on Higher Ground September 25th weekend. And also just go to riseuptomilehigh.com to reserve your seats. You know you want to be there, so there's no reason to delay. Be there and bring your team. Dr. Brian Moriarty, it was a speaker last year. It was extraordinary to have him there. I think it was his second time possibly being at Mile High because he attended one year. He's the owner of Loving Chiropractic Society. He's the president of the FCS. If people don't know, that's a Florida Chiropractic Society. He's the secretary of the ICA, and he runs a exciting, dynamic family practice in Florida. So, he's doing all that while also serving practice members. So I'm really grateful for his time to join us today. Thank you for being with us, Dr. Brian, to talk tick.
Oh, thank you so much, Danny. It is truly an honor to be on here. And it was so great seeing you guys at Mile High, high noon, baby. It was a great time. And I tell you, you guys are just incredible hosts, and you and Rochelle and the team just make your speakers and your attendees just feel so welcome. It was such a great event. It was packed. I couldn't believe how packed it was, and what a great job you guys have done. Your MCs, your speakers, it was incredible. And while it was only my second Mile High, it will not be my last. I've got that on the calendar there, and we're going to try to make it back this year as well. And excited to be a part of that awesome event.
Well, thank you. I know you put a lot of energy to the events in Florida. I know you know what kind of work goes into it. And the things people say about your guys' event in Florida, including also Saturday Night Live, is extraordinary. I'm so grateful. Your time's valuable. I'm so glad you took the time to be there. And I've been to things where I felt like as an attendee, taken for granted or not noticed, or those kinds of things. And so, Rochelle and I try to do our best so that people don't have the experience. We kind of think of like, what would we have liked people have done in terms of the experience. And I'm sure you know that and think that way too. I've had that experience. So thank you for the compliments. Now let's get to you. Okay. So first of all, I'd like people to know you a little bit more, because when someone has the passion and puts the energy, because I know you go beyond the practicing hours, when someone has that kind of passion and energy and puts all that in, I want to know what makes them tick. So first of all, what was your journey that then you became a chiropractor? How'd you end up in the chiropractic world?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I tell you, busyness is in my blood. I know it's in your blood as well, and it just seems like one thing after another. And my wife and I are always talking about how busy our schedules are. We need to slow down and enjoy life, but apparently it goes on fast forward the older and the more involved you get in life and in this profession. And God has truly blessed me with a great life. I started out, just to give you a brief story. My father, when he was 18 years old, was diagnosed with a terminal condition. He was given 6 months to live. At 18 years old, he was given 6 months to live. And he had gone to every medical doctor. He had had surgery countless times. They were praying for him over the loudspeaker in the school. And finally, when he was given that death sentence, a colleague reached out and told him to go to a chiropractor. He actually told his mom, get him to a chiropractor, see how it could change his life. And this is back in the 1950s where there wasn't a chiropractor on every street corner. They were rare. And my father took the subway, the train from Jersey City, New Jersey into the Bronx to an hour and a half each way. Patients will come in, they'll complain about 10 minutes or sitting in traffic for a few minutes. He would go an hour and a half each way on a train, followed by a bus, 3 times a week to get adjusted. And
you're a chiropractor in the Bronx.
Yes.
Wow.
3 times a week. Yes. And finally, he started doing this, and they said he had 6 months to live, but instead of passing on in 6 months, he lived another 30 years, and
wow.
chiropractic saved his life.
I gotta ask, by any chance, you know the name of the chiropractor?
I do. I don't have it.
Stretch. I'm just really curious because I grew up in the Bronx. That's why.
Really? Yes, I can get it for you. Yes, I do have the name. I'll get that for you.
But
it was an incredible
Bronx
thing.
From Jersey.
Yes. Wow. So he did that 3 times a week for 6 months, and all of a sudden he starts getting better. Then he realized that it has totally changed his life. He abandoned his career, which was in engineering, and becomes a chiropractor as well, because he said, well, this obviously saved my life. There's something here. He becomes a chiropractor, lives another 30 years, has 3 children, me being the middle child. And I'm literally alive today because someone reached out and told my father to go to a chiropractor and it will save your life.
Wow. That's pretty amazing. So what was this year that he went to chiropractic school?
So, his diploma is in my office. So he went to Columbia.
He went to Columbia.
And, yeah. Probably date on there somewhere, but yes. Yes. And he became a chiropractor, had a great chiropractic family practice, was beloved in his community until he sadly passed away in his late 40s, actually of a heart condition. But then, I became a chiropractor because I was so inspired by what he had gone through and how it had saved his life. And I wanted to try to serve my community and save lives as well, and get miracles to happen. So I became a chiropractor. I came out of school, and I definitely was not your traditional straight chiropractor, we'll say. I went to, I got invited to a Dynamic Essentials meeting and drank the Kool-Aid and completely changed my life. Opened up this practice down here in Stuart, Florida. We've been here for 11 years. We basically opened this thing up with the shirts on our back. And now we have the busiest office on the East Coast of Florida with over 1,000 patient visits a week, just from grassroots efforts, going to great conferences like DE, Mile High, getting inspired, and just serving the principle.
I got to tell you, my stepdad, Donnie, he went to Columbia.
He did. Wow.
And a lot of people don't realize, I know you know more about chiropractic history. It may be a good thing to just top on for a second. Columbia was one of the straight schools, one of the principled schools, and it became NYCC, and it shifted so much. Reggie Gold taught philosophy at Columbia. It was like a stalwart of, a stronghold of straight chiropractic relative to that time, before it became NYCC.
Wow. Good to know.
Yeah.
That's why I love doing these interviews like this, because you always get like new information. Like, the interviewer will tell me something, or someone will watch it and they'll tell me something, and I'll keep getting more and more to the story. Because I'm always on a quest for information. That's great to hear, because obviously my father, he passed away when I was just 8 years old, and I have so few memories of him. It's funny because I'm in practice down here in Stuart, Florida, and like I said, my dad was up in New Jersey, And he had a CA that worked for him that ended up being in the Stuart, Florida area, found me, and now comes in. She was just in yesterday as a patient.
Wow.
And every time she comes in, I always tell her, I go, you could pay your fee, but I need a story about my dad because you have so many great memories of him. And every time she tells me a story of something about like how he liked peanut butter cups and ate those in between patients, or, or he did this or he did that. So it's so great to have those memories, to look back on.
Yeah, I mean, amazing. Because Donnie tells me all the time things about Columbia, and I'll tell you this, and then let's get more about you. Columbia had a Columbia technique, and Columbia technique was full spine toggle recoil.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a full spine toggle recoil. And he said in classroom, he had to learn how to toggle every single segment. Like it wasn't setups. You had to toggle every segment, and you had to get a toggle with an audible release on every lumbar segment.
Wow.
And that was the technique department. And one of the things that you learned, it's like you think, he used to say, he learned, Columbia had a better chiropractic education than, anybody had in terms of philosophy, science, and art. So that tells you how much your dad got, and the passion, where the passion, bubbled up in addition to his own life and health changes. So that's really incredible. And you'd probably be so proud of you to the things you've carried on, in your life and giving to chiropractic. So let's talk about that a little bit. When did you discover Dynamic Essentials? Was it as a kid before your dad died? Did it go there? Was it later?
Yeah, as a kid, really, my dad went to DE, and he was a regular attendee. He was one of those kind of people that was like in the back of the room, that was quiet but was powerful at the same time. So he never made it on the stage as a speaker, but in the thousands and thousands of people, he was back there, and he was a solid guy that all the greats knew and loved. So I went up as a kid. I was running up and down the elevators at the Waverly, and run around the back of the room growing up as a DE kid. And then, like I said, I really didn't, see it that much after my father passed away, until a great friend of mine, Dr. Dean Satilli, reached out to me, and he said, man, it'd be great if you could come to DE, you could find your purpose there. And like many of the greats in our profession, they went to DE, and it changed their life, and it changed my life, and it just gave me a direction. And one of my big directions right now is service. And how to give back to this profession that, like I said, has blessed me. I mean, I wouldn't even be alive today if it wasn't for chiropractic. So and that's why I got involved in politics, joined the board of the Florida Chiropractic Society, and now I've been serving as the president for the last several years. And it takes a lot of time to be the president of a state association. We are a working board. I have an incredible board. I have an incredible executive director, Araceli Martinez, who's just working just so hard, and this is like outside of like practice time, family time, vacation time, and then you got to fit in this. But chiropractic is worth saving. And when I see things that are happening, like in Montana, how they have a bill to have prescriptive rights for chiropractors, it's where everybody needs to stand up and just say, no more, no more. And we put out press releases. The GCC has put out press releases. A lot of the state associations, the ICA has, and I'm hearing that the bill is now finally hit some resistance and is failing. So that looks like that challenge is going to be definitely put to rest because of people standing up. But that's what we do at the Florida Chiropractic Society. We stand up. We stand for principle chiropractic. And we fight battles in Tallahassee every single day. We've got bills up there we're fighting. We got bills up there we're supporting. We've got bills that we've entered. We are very active in our state legislature because there are always people that are going to try to medicalize our profession, destroy our profession, and take away our authenticity of what we do. We go to chiropractic school to become freaking chiropractors, okay? Right. To adjust the spine, to get rid of subluxation, to change lives, to save lives. And these people that think that is not enough are just lost in our profession. And if you think that you need to become a medical doctor and prescribe drugs and you think you can do that better than someone who went to school just for that, then good luck to you. But you're really not a part of this profession if that's where you're going.
Right, right. That's the things that you do and things that, like, for example, Scott Kelly does in Texas with their organization are needed in more places. And you see some of those bubble up, and and I know it takes a lot of energy, and many hands make light work. And the more people that can do things to support people like you and support the movement and work as a team, the more of a difference that we can make, So I'm really grateful for the energy that you put in. Florida's been, that's been a challenge for years and years. And the energy that you put in is made a big difference. So one, I want to thank you and applaud you. And I'm also saying this because I like it if someone who listens to this will say, I'm going to help out more. And, in terms of the state boards and to the state associations. Tom Gilardi, I remember when I was in chiropractic school, he said to me, your state association's your rent. You have to be able to pay, you have to pay dues to it so you can make a difference, just like you keep your lights on, and you have to be able, you got to contribute. Otherwise, we're going to see, things go more and more in a less than ideal, trajectory. So the fact that you do all that is so important. And I just want to acknowledge you for that. I'm very grateful that the energy that you and your team and your organization puts in Florida.
Yeah, I always go back to this quote: "Leave the beach cleaner than the way you found it." And our board is just an incredible board. They work tirelessly for chiropractic, but people can contribute at any level. That's the thing. You could be watching this at home and say, you know what, I resonate with what this guy's doing. Man, he's doing a great job. Well, there's ways you can help, okay? There's ways that you can become, say, a member of the Florida Chiropractic Society. We have an out-of-state membership for $50 a year. I know $50 is a lot, but boy, for $50 a year, you could put a stamp on it and say, hey, I want to be part of those numbers so that when you go to Tallahassee and they say, how many members are you representing here in Tallahassee? Instead of saying 500 members, we could say 600 or 700 or 800. And all of a sudden we have this groundswell of people that are supporting. I support many out-of-state organizations, and I feel like it's our duty to support our brothers like Scott Kelly, who's a chiropractic warrior in Texas, and Dan Tu in Georgia with the GCC, Greg Rubenstein in New York, the Palmetto State Chiropractic. There are so many great people that work together. And Danny, I know you were a part of this, but a couple of years ago in Florida, we decided to have our first meeting of all the principal chiropractic groups and get together and just say, hey, listen, let's get together and let's get a game plan together here. Right. And I appreciate you flying all the way in from Colorado. We had people come in from all over the country and just collaborate, get ideas, get a game plan. And now we've had another meeting and we have another one coming up. And now we're forming this chiropractic freedom coalition where we're working together with other states so that when Montana goes and says they're doing prescriptive rights, they're going to hear from us. So it's about finding ways to contribute. Join your state association, support principal chiropractic schools that support the chiropractic you love, like Sherman, obviously, and Jack Borla and the great job he's doing there. And there's other great schools like Life West with Ron Oberstein and others I'm probably forgetting. But support a school, become a regent, okay? So give back. I'm a regent of Sherman College. I'm going to my first Lyceum the first weekend in May. I hope I see you there. I know I'm going to see Jack there. I got a personal VIP invite from Jack Borla. So I'm on the plane and getting there from Florida. So find a way to contribute, in this crazy game called chiropractic. Otherwise, it's not going to be the profession you love in the end.
It's your first Sherman Lyceum.
I can't believe it. How have I not been to a Lyceum? It's like every time it's conflicts, but I said this time I'm going. So
well, I'll see you there. So I'm super excited. And what you were just saying made me think of something that I share often. There's a biblical lesson about give back to what has given so much to you. and I'm paraphrasing, but there's something like that, give back to what has given so much to you. And I think about that with chiropractic. And like you just said, the story about your dad, and then, you and brothers becoming chiropractors and such. I think, like, first of all, yes, my skill set and get my occupation and all of that, that's one thing that chiropractic's given, and that's given to you. Then if you go another level, your dad's health, your health, like, I think I really know in my heart and soul that if I hadn't had chiropractic care when I had some health emergencies, I would not have gotten through that. I wouldn't be alive. I don't care what anybody else says from the medical side. I know I wouldn't have even gotten to the point of being able to have medical procedures, and then my kids' health, my wife and the marriage we enjoy, like, all of that came from this path of chiropractic and the gifts that it gave. And, so you have to give back, like, give back, like it's the Florida Society, $50. That's one adjustment. If you can give one adjustment, so we're going to make sure that link goes along with this. If you give one adjustment, or like Sherman College, like, what does it cost to be a regent? Give back a couple adjustments a month to Sherman College, and other institutions. This is it's your rent, to give back, because people will give back to random things. Give back to, think how much chiropractic has given to you, and and to your family and your health and your well-being, like Dr. Brian just said, and find ways to give back to that. You don't have to give back a lot, So I'm gonna become a out-of-state member of the FCS now. So thank you for telling us, so we can make sure more people do that.
Right. And also, Danny, I appreciate you coming down in May to speak at our Saturday Night Live in just a couple of months. If you're watching this, May 17th, my birthday. Okay, my actual birthday. Danny Knowles, flying all the way from Colorado. Hopefully, he'll bring his beautiful wife Rochelle too. Is going to be headlining our Saturday Night Live. It's been going for almost 40 years in South Florida. Almost 40 years. And Danny's going to be our speaker. We also have one of our FCS board members, Bridget Farrar, who's an absolute dynamo. She'll be speaking on the program as well. So if you're in South Florida, and I tell you, we get people from all over that come to this SNL. We had a guy from New Jersey, okay, who came to this SNL last time. And you just get people, and the right people are going to be there. It's going to be a great crowd. And I'm so excited to hear you, Dr. Danny, share and your story, especially some of the health challenges you've gone through. I mean, it's just been remarkable. So thank you for taking the time and putting it on the calendar and showing up to help us at the FCS.
I'm so super excited. I'm so super excited to be there, and I mean, I'm excited the passion that you put in. So let's dial in a little bit more about you, what fuels you. Now, you take care of people. A lot of people don't necessarily. There might be students, people listening to this, or people that may not necessarily practice a pure adjustment focused practice and subluxation focused practice. What can you share about, like, the miracles you see each day and how that lights you up?
Every day is a different day. And, we have a strong focus on pregnancy and pediatrics in our office. And I just think of we've had a couple of screaming babies. You ever have a new patient come in and it's just a screaming, irritable, gassy, fussy, colicky baby that's just screaming their heads off, and they just are just inconsolable. And then you start talking to them and you realize that it was probably a rough birth, and that maybe they were in labor for a while, and maybe that when they were coming out, something happened. And you just do just the most gentle, lightest adjustment on that atlas, and you just watch that baby just change into a different person. And I had 2 screaming babies last week on the same day, and I just saw them both this morning, and they're both like normal kids again. They're normal babies, and they're just a few weeks old, and then the parents are getting rest at night, and they're so excited, and now they want to come in and get chiropractic care. In our practice, we love to get, like, the harder the case, the better, because big cases like that are going to yield immense rewards. And that's where you're going to get the entire family to come in, and then they tell a friend, and it becomes on autopilot, and your practice grows to, like I said, where we're at, we're over 1,000 patient visits a week, and we don't even do any advertising. Zero. Okay, it's all patient referrals, because once you get this thing on autoplay, you don't have to do anything. You just show up to work and just make miracles happen, and you take away that whole part of it. But struggle, pain, and failure are all part of it. I mean, I've struggled when I started out. I know it seems like it's easy right now, but when I started out and I actually purchased this practice, we were seeing like 50 patient visits a week. Okay. And me and my wife would cry our eyes out like, oh my gosh, what happened? Like, how is this, how do we get out of this mess? And then it just takes putting together a good solid plan and just a lot of hard work, and slowly you grow and you grow and you grow. And when you're doing the right things for the right reasons, people notice that you come off very authentic. And when I sit down, in a consultation with a new patient, I always stress the fact that I'm not a used car salesman. I'm not here to sell you a timeshare or everything. I'm going to tell you that chiropractic is like finding the fountain of youth in your life. And if that resonates with you and you want to come back, I would love to have you. But I'm not a jack of all trades. I'm not here to stretch you or prescribe anything for you or stick a needle in you or all these crazy things that chiropractors, can do depending on where they're at. I'm here to clear subluxations and turn on the power in your human body and watch how it will explode. And if you're on board with that, please come back. But if not, find another chiropractor, because you are going to need this for the rest of your life. And if anyone has told you that you don't, then they are lying to you, because you absolutely unequivocally need chiropractic care, clearing subluxations from your body to express your full God-given potential. And anyone tells you differently is a liar.
Right. I mean, it's really plain and simple. And I gotta ask you, I know you were little. You said, you were 8 when your father passed. Do you remember is there anything you can remember about him talking about chiropractic?
My father?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, most of my time in his office he had a high-low table, and it was riding the high-low up and down and here, press this button. So, but, my dad did a lot of lay lectures, and I do remember, kind of being in the background, kind of listening here and watching him just kind of change someone's life and perception of what we do, because so many people don't even know what chiropractic is. I mean, because there's so much out there. There's so many different versions of it that they don't even know what it is. So yeah, I could remember, kind of overhearing a lay lecture here and there and just watching people just learn about what true chiropractic is, pure principle chiropractic, and how it can change their life.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, then let's transition to, you go fast forward. Then where was the point where you said, I'm going to be a chiropractor? And go, where'd you graduate from?
I actually went to Palmer, Florida, of all places. I know the new president there, Dr. Bill Sherrier, and he's a great guy, and he's doing some great things there to hopefully help that school and get them into a really great spot. But I'm really proud of him and all his efforts. But I started out at Life when they lost their accreditation. Remember way back when?
Yes.
And it was the first quarter I was in.
Wow.
Yeah, and I have a lot of chiropractors in my family that went to Life. And my aunt went to Life. And my brother, and basically it was kind of like I was living in Atlanta. I went to Oglethorpe University for undergrad, so it seemed like a natural place to go. I started there. They lost their accreditation, so I said, I don't know. So I transferred to Palmer, Florida. Went there, had a very good experience there, and then came out, and then went into practice as an associate for my aunt and uncle, who were great chiropractors, taught me so much about, how to talk to a patient and how to adjust, because so many schools don't teach you how to adjust very well. I don't know what they're doing in some of these schools, but I get, we have associates in our practice, and we bring them in, and very few of them really know how to adjust well. So it's like, that's the first challenge is, okay, let's get your skills and see if we can get you to do better. But yeah, it's always a challenge with these newbies, but then to see them just hit it and realize it and just take off is just amazing.
So now in that experience, struggling initially, buying a practice, seeing that escalate, having associates, what can you share as advice, recommendations for someone getting out of school and going the path of opening a practice?
Well, struggle is going to be part of it. You're going to have to pay your dues and really, but the biggest thing I could tell you would be to find your tribe. You have to find your tribe in chiropractic. You have to find your friends, your compatriots, your people that are going to stick by you with thick and thin. And it's by getting outside of the four walls of your practice. You have to get to events that resonate with you. I've been to many ICPA events, learned a lot from them, been to so many different conferences like Mile High, man, Dynamic Essentials, going to FCS, Saturday Night Lives. You got to find your tribe of people that you're going to be able to bond with, to create the band of brothers. If you remember the great talk, the band of brothers talk way back when by Dick Santo, you've got to find that tribe of people that's rowing the same direction, because if you're out there by yourself rowing on your own island, you're not going to make it. I mean, it's going to be a struggle. And, like when you go to an event like Mile High or DE or things like that, you get juiced up. Like you go there and you're like, wow, like at DE, I've been going for, over a decade now. And I know my regular people there. And then you'll meet somebody new and it'll be like, wow, look at this person. And then when I went to Mile High 12, I was like, oh man, there's a whole bunch of other great people out here who maybe don't go to DE, but are still pretty friggin' awesome. And I felt right at home. And listen, I didn't know a lot of people there. And I thought I knew a lot of people, but I was like, who are all these people, these Westerners out there? But, you guys are always, and both times I've gone, you're just so inviting and you make you feel so welcome. It's just such a great thing in chiropractic when you find that tribe of people that is just like, I'm not a weirdo. Like, I'm not like, everybody else is, doing all these therapies and all this other stuff that you went to school with. And it's like, oh, here's my tribe. They love chiropractic for the reason why I love chiropractic.
Yeah.
So it's about finding those people that are gonna, and it's gonna take some effort. You're gonna have to jump on a plane every once in a while and go to something. You're gonna have to, put something on the calendar and say, I'm going to this event. But once you do, it's just such a great feeling.
I got to echo what you said, and I was in practice a number of years. And since Donnie Epstein's my dad, I was very involved in all those kinds of things when I was at Sherman as a student. I was like a leader in those things and the FSCO and so on. And then when I graduated, I just focused on the network world, which is a community, and those was my tribe at that point. And I just focused on that and my kids, and so on. And then when I got invited to be on the Sherman College Board of Trustees, and I sadly admit, I had not been to Sherman Lyceum since I had graduated. And it was whatever decade or something. And I was kind of like weird that I got this call and invite to be on the Board of Regents. I hadn't been at the school since I graduated. I walk into Lyceum. Lyceum was when I was before I was an undergrad, like put me over the hump to go to chiropractic school. I said this, I don't know why I'm here. And I was under the tent. And in one session under the tent, there was Reggie Gold, Arnaud Bernier, Joe D'Onofrio Sr., and Donnie speaking in that one couple hours. By the end of that couple hours, I was going to chiropractic school, right? I mean, that's a pretty powerful session. And but that I had loved going to those things. And when I went back to Sherman Lyceum, I was like, whoa, I forgot about this. I forgot being around this kind of energy and those group of people and people that had multiple perspectives, but were all in the same path of, our principles and our foundation. And that's why I was like, man, and thus that spurred, being at Lyceum, like I lock in every year. It's the first thing I put on my calendar. And plan everything around when Sherman Lyceum is. I cannot recommend that people do that. And for example, you said dynamic essentials. Like you've got to do that. Chiropractors function better in community. It's just like your body. When there's community and connection, you do better than as an individual in a room. For sure. So I cannot emphasize enough what you just said.
And that's such a great point about putting it on the calendar and making time for those things, because people always try to make time for important things, but you have to actually just schedule them. Like if you put that on the calendar and you got Lyceum on there, you're going there no matter what, barring some kind of drastic emergency. But committing to your time to something is the highest honor you can give that. So when you have something like that, and that's why I'm so excited to be at Sherman Lyceum. I'm almost embarrassed that I haven't been there, because I've been to the school many times. We had an ICA annual meeting there just a few years ago, and and Ed Cordero, who's now the new CEO of the ICA, very exciting news there, had invited us to go, and so I'm super excited to be at my first Lyceum, and I know it's going to be great. And Jack has told me about some VIP room or something. I don't know what that's about. I feel like I'm going to get hazed because it's my first Lyceum and it's been so long. But, he's doing a great job, though, that Borla. We got to love that guy.
I don't know if you know, Saturday Night Live, they have like the Five Timers Club, right? If you remember, that's a skit they do on Saturday Night Live, the TV show, not Saturday Night Live, your philosophy event. And they do the Five Timers Club. We'll have to get you up to the Five Timers Club, Brian. That's or Sherman Lyceum. That's what our goal will be in the VIP room. We'll talk about that. So, hey, before we sign off here, is there any last message that you'd like to share with chiropractors and chiropractic students?
Yeah, well, I always get this question in an interview, and it always chokes me up because I never know what to say. I try to think of something, inspirational, but I always, it comes back to attitude and attitude and service, and you can always choose your attitude. So you may not always be able to choose your circumstances, but you can always choose your attitude. This may not change your situation, but it will absolutely change your experience and the performance of it. So, for me, God is always in charge. He's blessed me with a great life. Chiropractic has blessed me with a great life. I have an incredible wife and kids and practice. I'm honored to serve as the FCS president. I'm honored to serve as the secretary of the ICA with a new CEO in charge. I'm super excited about that. I'm honored to serve on my local school board. I don't even know if we've mentioned that here, but I'm serving on my local school board. Just had a 3-hour meeting yesterday. And it's just an honor to serve. So, put yourself in service and you will see your life just take off in absolutely amazing ways. If you're a student, get through that education, get through everything, become a kick-ass chiropractor, and just take over the world. And I love and appreciate you, Danny. It's truly an honor to be on this call, and I'm super excited to see you guys in May in South Florida, and we will make sure to roll out the red carpet for you guys in your visit.
Well, thank you so much, and I gotta say, for our listeners, look, there's no one like Brian Moriarty, right? And we need 1,000 Brian Moriartys in chiropractic, or even if we had 50, it would be a great start. So whether, if you're a doc or a student, say, hey, I got to raise the bar. I'll join as an out-of-state member of the FCS. I'm going to show up at my meetings and be part of my state association, see what I can do to shift it and make a contribution. And I'm not going to be a lone wolf sitting in an office. I'm going to be part of a community that wants to impact my larger community and impact the world. I will tell you, your passion will reignite if you do that. So again, thank you so much for Dr. Brian, and I really appreciate what you do. And hey, if you're listening to this, A, get to the FCS Saturday Night Live, B, get to Dynamic Essentials, and C, get to Mile High. Be on higher ground in September. Rise up to milehigh.com. And don't see it as going to a seminar. Don't see going to DE as a seminar. See it as an experience and being with a community. And same thing for Mile High. I don't see it as like, who's speaking and do I like them? And I got to get my C credits. Screw that. You got to think, I'm going to be around and rub elbows with other people because I know I'm ignited more as a chiropractor if I'm in community with other chiropractors.
Yeah, there were so many incredible speakers at Mile High that I had never even heard of, to be honest with you. Students and you couldn't have said it better, Danny. September 25th to the 28th, put it on the calendar. That's the point of this call. Put it on the calendar and you schedule everything else around it. That's what you got to do.
Keep changing spines, lives, and keep changing spines, lives, and minds with chiropractic. We look forward to seeing you. And again, subscribe to the podcast, never miss any Mile High tech, and go to riseuptomilehigh.com to join us in September. Thank you so much again for your contributions, Dr. Bryant.
Thank you, Dr. Danny. You're a warrior yourself, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you.